Hey, and welcome to Grow It Girl. My name is Megan, and I live in Barrie, Ontario, which is Zone 5B for gardening. I am a beginner gardener, I am a home gardener, and I'm here to just share what I've learned so far and continue to learn. This is the video that I needed when I first started. So if you want to learn some tips and tricks, grab a cup of coffee, a glass of wine, and let's get started. If you see me look down, it's just my trusty notebook here. If I don't have it, I will ramble for days, so bear with me. The first thing that you need to know is what growing zone you live in. So the growing zone refers to your low temperatures and your highest temperatures. So here in Ontario, I can't grow tropical trees or anything like that, unfortunately, but just a quick Google search of your area and your postal code or zip code, it'll tell you what zone you live in and the best crops that you can grow there. The second thing that's really important to know is your last frost date and your first frost date. So those are averages, of course. You have to look at your 14-day forecast to get a better idea when it gets closer to the date. Our average frost date, last frost date, is May 20th here, so everyone gets really excited about May long weekend, plant their stuff, and that's really important for things that don't do well with the frost. So you would hate to spend months and grow things inside and then put them out and them get totally demolished by the frost. So keep that in mind. The third thing that I try to do is be extremely optimistic. So as I sat here last year with my table full and my floor full of started plants, I said to myself and to everyone that walked through the door, if I get one piece of produce from all of this, I will be ecstatic. Now, that's not very money conscious, of course, but I planted this garden for joy and for something to do, and thankfully it gives us food, but mainly it was for joy. So I continue to take every failure as a lesson, and I continue to do that throughout this season as well, and continue to be optimistic. The fourth thing, and this is quite a big one, is I didn't prepare my soil properly. So there's a lot of debate on this, but basically you should have 30% of your soil as organic matter or compost. You see this struggle in a lot of things. So my plants struggled in growth and potentially taste. I didn't notice the difference because it was my first year, so I didn't have anything to compare it to. But hopefully this year, after I amend my soil and put lots of different things in it, I will see a difference in the taste. And hopefully that's an improvement. The fifth thing is I kind of just jumped right into gardening and then did research after, which is okay. You know, we had a good gardening season, got lots of food, but I would have saved a lot of time, a lot of energy, and definitely a lot of money if I did some research prior to starting my plants. So hopefully this video is you doing your research and you won't make the same mistakes that I did. But here's a few things that are basically common knowledge and I didn't know anything about because I'm a beginner gardener. So the main things were, there's a difference between warm weather and cool weather crops. That being said, cool weather is mainly grown in the spring and the fall, and the warm weather is throughout the summer. So here in Zone 5B, we have very short growing seasons and very long winters. So we need to maximize the amount of growing that we do in that small amount of time. So for example, I grew lettuce and carrots throughout the summer. Now, yes, they grew. They didn't grow very well. Lettuce, spinach, carrots, they all do well in cooler weather or with some shade. And I had neither of those. I didn't do it at the right time. So the taste, my lettuce was very bitter and the carrots didn't grow to their potential. Now, the other thing that is common knowledge and I didn't know was the difference between starting my plants inside or in a greenhouse. For me, it is my back door and my kitchen table. So the difference between starting that inside and then direct sowing. So I thought I could just start everything inside. And that is not true. Now, the reason for that is because some plants do not like to be transplanted or cannot be transplanted. They won't survive. And the other reason is some things have such a short growing season that they don't really need to. There's a few things that are like 40, 50, 60 days until they produce fruit, and they can be just directly sown into the ground, into your pot, into your in-ground bed, or your raised garden. So the sixth thing, and I think I did this really well after I got started, was I watched a shitload of videos. Now, pardon my language, but I YouTubed and Googled, and I continue to do that on a daily basis just so I can continue to learn what's going to be best for us in our garden here. So there is a few people that I watch pretty religiously, and they are Roots and Refuge and Epic Gardening. So the only downfall to that is those are the people that I was gravitated towards, but they live in completely different growing zones than I do. One lives in San Diego, California, and the other one lives in central Arkansas. So completely different weather and completely different timelines. So if I followed exactly what they were doing when they were doing it, I wouldn't have anything. So you definitely have to switch your brain to kind of do the math on, okay, if they're starting in February because their last frost date is in, beginning of April or whatnot. I don't know the exact days, but you have to be careful to adjust it to your growing zone. So when you're watching these and you're watching my future videos of when I'm planting, just be mindful if it's the same as where you live. So the seventh thing is I didn't utilize my space properly. I followed the seed packs way too closely, and they didn't even apply to me because I don't have acres of land here. I'm not planting in rows. I'm planting in square and rectangle beds. Very small amount of space, and it just wasn't applicable. So what I'm going to do differently this year is try something called square foot gardening, and I'm going to do a separate video on that. But basically it is a method that allows you to maximize your space. So you divide your beds into 1x1 squares, and there's a guideline of how many plants or seeds that you can plant in that 1x1 square. For example, for carrots, you can plant 16 carrots in one square. So don't know how that's gonna go, but we're gonna try it and see if I can have more produce from my garden, because I definitely saw a lot of empty space, and that's one thing that you don't want to see when you have such a small amount of ground to cover. Now the eighth one, this is a little bit of a funny one. I grew some food that we didn't eat. Do we buy kale in the store? Absolutely not. Did we eat it because it was in our garden? Yes. I gave way too much space in my garden to kale. I ended up giving a lot away. I even left some for the rabbits here, which is a big mistake on my part because it's a waste. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of space. I actually ended up buying those as started plants, so they were more expensive than a seed pack. I will not do that again, that's for sure. Don't get me wrong, I will try new things in my garden every year, but I won't do 3 plants of it. I'll just do 1, and then if I like it, then I'll grow more the following year. But just be conscious of that. Grow what you're gonna eat. The 9th thing is I didn't know that there were so many varieties of things. So last year I grew very mainstream plain crops, and that's fine, and I will do that every single year. Don't get me wrong, this year I have very plain, lettuce and spinach, very, very plain things. But what I learned through my YouTubing is there is hundreds of thousands of different types of fruits and vegetables and different varieties. It's just incredible. So this is a personal preference. Like I said before, this garden is for joy. So I want to see beauty and unique things in my garden. And you know what? I think it's pretty awesome to be able to walk outside and pick something that you can't get from the grocery store. So for my tomatoes and my peppers, I'm being a little risque this year, so we'll see how that goes. I'm growing 9 different types of peppers and 4 different types of tomatoes, so we'll see how those go. I will update you throughout the summer. And the 10th thing, as my sister always says, is I gave it a go. I literally just jumped right in with a small tray and a few packs of seeds. I had no grow mat, no grow light, and literally no idea what I was doing. And I just gave it a try. And here I am a year later with an absolute passion for gardening. So if you are hesitant about starting or you want to start and you haven't yet, just go for it. If it's a money aspect, there are so many different ways that you can be budget friendly. You know, you can buy stuff that's on sale at the end of the season, or you can go on Marketplace and find things that are either free or at a very low cost. And if it's space, there is tons of different ways to combat that. So like I said, we don't have a lot of space here. So we're gonna do a lot of vertical gardening. And I'll talk about that and do a video on that. And also, I'm actually growing all of my peppers in 10-gallon grow bags because we just don't have the space for it in our beds, and I want to grow a lot of them. So I think I grabbed 5 of those on Amazon for like 20 bucks. So very doable. So just give it a try. I will be your #1 supporter, your #1 cheerleader. I will answer any questions that you have. But go for it. Even if it's just 1 pot this year, give it a try. So if you learned one new thing from this video, give it a like. And if you want to see more videos, press subscribe. It was so nice hanging out with all of you, and I will see you soon. Bye.